Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're grinding out bicep curls, or muscling the couch across the living room, crushing morning miles, or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, Smoothie King has fuel to help you maximize your workouts, own your recovery, and elevate your game. Give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs with a lineup of delicious smoothies made to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.
Hey you, welcome to the Almost 20 podcast. If you're a returning listener, welcome back to the Almost 20 podcast. Today I'm sat with my guest Ola, and we're going to be having a conversation about people pleasing, a topic that I think is really, really important to dig into. And I would say though that I was a bit hesitant to have this conversation with my guest because of the fact that I still have some people pleasing tendencies in myself, but I would say that I'm much more better off than where I used to be when it comes to people pleasing, right? And if you are a long time listener of the podcast, you know about my story with being emotionally bullied and how that affected me, that made me, morph my personality, try to camouflage my personality. I think that's in a way attributed to me developing people pleasing tendencies, right? But like I said before, I'm in a better headspace than where I used to be. Right, and so I think this topic is really important because I feel like there are two categories of people that this topic would actually really, really benefit. The first category will be the people pleaser, someone who they have an idea that they actually are people pleasers, but they do not know how to get out of being a people pleaser. And the second person will be someone who has absolutely no idea that they are a people pleaser. They might be exhibiting tendencies of people pleasing. They might not really know why it is they behave a certain way, right? And so this episode is going to touch on so many things that would really provide wonderful insights to both categories of people. I am my guest Ola. We're going to be talking about a lot of things from who a people pleaser is to how you know if you are a people pleaser. That is the signs to actually look inward to observe. We're also going to be talking about where people pleasing could stem from. We're going to be talking about negative impacts of people pleasing. And finally, we're also going to be talking about tips that might help you to change your people pleasing tendencies for the better. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get into the episode. Hey Ola, how are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm fine as well. I'm fine as well. It's nice to have you on the podcast with me.
Thank you. I feel so special to be on this with you, and I can't wait to get into today's discussion.
Me too. Same here. Although I feel like I'm the one that should be feeling more special here. I mean, I have Ola on the pod.
I mean, I'm the guest, I'm the one who got invited, so yes, it feels real nice to be invited on the podcast. So, yes, I should be feeling special.
Yeah, well, let's just get right into it. So, Ola, could you introduce yourself and maybe a fun fact about you? Tell us a fun fact about you.
All right. So my name is Ola. Well, it's just a short for Abiola. My name is Abiola. Um, I'm a pretty interesting person. That is if you get to know me in person, sha. If you just messaging me online, you might not really know me that much. I like, I'm more of an introvert, actually. I just like being by myself most of the time. But then the moment I get comfortable with you, oh no, it's just going to be like you met someone else that you didn't know before. Because like the old introvert side, the old quietness and all of that, it just goes away. And next thing, you just see someone crazy, someone filled with a lot of thoughts. And it's like I'm just practicing all the things going on in my head around you, or even with you. So yes, I'm a very interesting person. That's if I feel comfortable with you or feel comfortable around you.
Yeah,
That's just me.
yeah. What would you say qualifies somebody to become or to make you comfortable around that person? Do you get like do you think there are some certain attributes that you might see in a person and you're like, yeah, I'm actually getting comfortable with this person?
Well, um, come to think about it, when I think of the amount of people I've met and the amount of people that I'm comfortable around, I just get to realize that I don't really have these kind of specific requirements. I just like need to feel like you're someone I trust, someone that is not going to end up spilling all my secrets out to the entire world, and then someone who actually wants to be around me. You understand that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Someone who will see me and not just ignore me. Yes, that kind of thing. I actually value people who make me feel valued. So like to an extent, I just feel very, very, very comfortable around a whole lot of people. And like when I say a whole lot of people, I mean I have a lot of crazy friends. Honestly speaking, people that their energy just match with mine at
Yeah.
times. And then I have some who are just concentrated and all, but then the moment I'm around, forget about concentration. They are definitely not concentrating.
Yeah, no, those are pretty interesting qualities to, look out for or even have in people around you. There are some people that once they are angry with you, my goodness, all your secrets, everything you said, the entire world is going to hear it. They might even create a podcast specifically for your secret.
Honestly, like I've been with someone like that before, and after that day, oh no, I just decided that I do not even want to make friends again. That was the kind of person I became immediately after that experience.
Yeah.
I just told myself I'm not making friends again. Because even apart from this fact that he opened my secrets, he still went ahead to even lie on me, and I'd be like,
Damn.
God, why did I even do all these things these guys mentioning? So yes, I try to look for people who will not go ahead to open up my secrets because of one argument or the other. I actually like people who, the moment they feel offended, they are able to sit down and talk about it with you. Not
Yeah.
that they just go and do whatever they think.
Yeah. No, no, no. I absolutely get that. Nice qualities actually to look out for, Sha. So, Ola, on today's episode, and in tradition with what I've come to, or we've come to start doing with guests on the podcast, we often play a game with guests on the podcast whereby I'll give you two options and you would pick one out of the two options. You have no other choice but to pick one. Okay, it's hypothetical situations, but you get to just pick one. Are you down to play?
Yeah, I'm down to play.
All right. So the question I'm going to ask you, you have to pick just one. Would you rather have this aura whereby whenever you come around, let's say a vicinity of dogs, immediately they get agitated by you and they start barking at you and they want to attack you, or have this entire thing happen but with just birds? Let's say birds, their own wouldn't be if your aura is sensed, but rather if a bird sees you, it immediately wants to attack you. So if you were to pick one of these situations, which one would it be for a lifetime?
For a lifetime.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting. That's a tough question. Okay. I think I would go with dogs attacking me because, like, I mean, um, if you are talking of birds, then every time I come out, there is definitely nowhere for me to hide from them. But then when it comes to dog, I mean, you're talking with the master of jumping fence. So, except that dog can actually jump fence with me, then forget about it. That dog is definitely not going to catch
I'm
me.
talking, wait now, I'm talking dogs are agitated. Don't you know an angry dog can jump a gate? If that dog is mad at you, I feel like
I,
that dog can actually teach you that. Let's put it this way. If you're to go to any vicinity, let's say a street, whenever you're passing that street, if dogs are around there, they would immediately just attack you. You would prefer that.
well, okay, dogs almost attack me almost every
Yes,
time,
every
but
time.
then I'm lucky that I haven't gotten bitten before. I'm very lucky that dog has never bites me before because there was even a time, I think last week, where a dog just decided to stop in front of me and begin to stare at me. Like,
Yo,
I was so scared. I did not know if I should run
a
or not.
stray dog.
Yes, a street dog. A street dog. All these other dogs.
Yo,
But then But then like now I would also want to change my answer. Sorry, I would want to change my answer. I think I would go with the
Yeah.
birds.
But then again,
I think I
you
would go
said
with the
that you said
birds.
that the birds, if you can't go outside, and isn't that the truth? Because birds are literally everywhere. So no matter where you go to, a bird will just be looking. Once he just sees you, instantly it's flying towards you. Other birds will now be like, "Yo, what's happening here?" And then they would be patting around you every time, trying to peck you.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Hmm. This is a very tough
exactly.
answer.
That's the thrill of it.
Well, I can go outside if dogs are chasing me. Just that I'll not just trip. I'll not just trip. But then if it's with birds, there is seriously there is nothing I can do. Now that I'm thinking of it, there's nothing I can do if it's birds. So maybe I'll just go with the dogs. I'll stay with the dogs.
I mean, coming to think about it, it's actually the only way you can actually avoid those birds is when say I don't know. I don't know. It's you have to be maybe in a vehicle to avoid both of them. But dogs are much more. It's easier to handle than birds because they're everywhere.
Yes, it's easier to avoid the dogs.
Just imagine going to the market and then you see crows, eagles, vultures just around you, chasing you.
No, that is not even going to make sense at all. I'm not imagining that. I think it just made me start imagining it.
Well, okay, we'll see what most of the listeners have to say about that option.
Lowe's knows when you're looking for reliability, the right brand makes all the difference. And now, Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retailer for the Whirlpool water treatment line, including their Wi-Fi softener, under-sink filtration system, and more. With Whirlpool's proven performance and our everyday low prices, better tasting, better quality water is within reach. Shop pro-trusted brands like Whirlpool and more, in-store or online. Lowe's, we help, you save.
I want to talk about your online radio. When we first connected, you did tell me that you had an online radio, and my goodness, no matter how much you told me about it, I mean I understood the fundamental concepts, but I still try to ravel or unwrap how all of that works. But I know that you recently rebooted it and you're coming back stronger. So could you talk about that? What's it all about?
All right. About my online radio. Well, in the beginning, when we first started, we just started the online radio to be a radio that just talk more on relationship in general, modern relationships. Yes, and when I'm talking about relationship, I'm not just talking about the relationship between a boy and a girl, all those boyfriend and girlfriend things. um we'll be talking about both relationship in terms of boyfriend and girlfriend. We're talking about relationships between parents and their children. We also talk about relationships between neighbors, relationships at school, friendships, and all those kind of things. That was what we first started
Yeah.
at. But right now that we have come back, that we have our second comeback, well, we are diving into a whole lot of things, like a whole lot of things. We have a session where we talk about things that were being done to us, which are not even supposed to be, like things some lecturers do in the
Yeah.
university. Like we also have a section, a show that talks about things like kidnapping and all those kind of things, how rampant they are beginning to be
Hmm.
in the whole place now. And then now we are even coming up with a storytelling show, where we just make reviews on books that are being read, because we have a lot of viewers that come and they ask us to recommend books to them that they can read. And there are some who even come around asking us to recommend movies or animes to them. But then I'm not a movie kind of person. I'm not an anime kind of person.
Yeah.
So yes, I my sisters help me with all of that. We also have before we were doing this, what they call it, this midnight prayers every Fridays around 11:30 till 12. But then now that we have a second chance to get things right, well, I decided that it's not going to be a midnight prayer anymore. It's just going to be something where we get to talk about God, but then not at night. It's going to be in the evening time when a lot of people are free.
Yeah.
Yes. Then, aside that, we still have our relationship talk. Yes, that one is not going anywhere because that was what we are actually built on. And that is what most of our listeners enjoy listening to because there are a lot of things these days that a lot of people need to understand and need to learn about relationships. Some people even come, they listen to us, and by the end of the program, it would be like we've already answered the question they had in their mind since without us even knowing. Then we have a program special on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yes, on Saturdays. That is called Dark Secrets, where people are allowed to drop their anonymous, their dark secrets, their secrets that they won't tell anyone on our anonymous. So yes, we talk about it on Saturdays. Then aside that, we are also going into things like business talk where we get to talk about business and all those kind of things because we came to understand that aside from teenagers and youths like you and I, we also have listeners who are a bit elderly. And then these listeners have been requesting for us to talk more about business
Yeah.
so that they can have ideas of what next they are investing into, what business they are going to be going into, and things like that. So, yes, um, those are what we are coming back with. And this time around, we are not just going to be coming back on, we are not just going to be going live. Sorry, we are not just going to be going live on Fridays, but then we are going to be live 247. So, yes, this time we are back, and then this time that we are back, we are ready to invite as much guests as possible to actually talk on various topics with us and share their ideas, share their mind, and let us know or let the public know what next can be done to develop that business they have in their mind.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, like wow, I definitely didn't even know about all of this, to be honest. You guys are coming in with a lot more than the relationship segments you guys used to have. So it's a whole lot of variety of topics, a lot of topics that are gonna be talked about on your show. That's really nice. That's really, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And this time we are going to be having like 247. That's why I say that's why I call it like 247. We're always going to be live because before we were only live on Friday by 7 p.m.
yeah.
to 9 p.m. just to have 2 hours to talk about relationship. But then now we are going to be live all through.
Okay. That's really, really nice. Honestly, that's really, really nice. The link to your radio show is gonna be in the episode description below. So you guys should definitely check out Ola's awesome radio show. So Ola, heading into today's topic, right, which is people pleasing, a topic that whoa, it's a lot really, and I think that a lot of people would resonate with the conversations that we're going to have today. And I personally have also struggled with people pleasing, or I've struggled with people pleasing, and I almost felt a bit hesitant to actually talk about this topic today due to the fact that I am not completely rid of people pleasing tendencies. It's not 100% out of me, right? But I feel like I'm better off where I was mentally years ago. And so I think that this topic is really, really going to be a wonderful one because there are a couple of people who struggle with people pleasing and they do not even have the slightest clue on how to break away from it. And then there are people who do not even know that they are people pleasers at all. They might just think, oh, they are being nice or they are being kind. And so I think that this conversation, whereby we'll talk about all of these things, is going to be really, really wonderful. So thank you once again for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, so Ola, what would you define people pleasing as or a people pleaser?
All right. Well, as someone who has been a people pleaser before, I can actually say that a people pleaser is someone who puts everyone first before even thinking of himself. Like even at the cost of his peace, he's putting people first. And then like most of these people, they are not even worth it. They don't really value him as much as he's trying to please them. Then people pleaser, there are people who just say yes even when they are tired. They just say yes and then they just keep apologizing even when they didn't do anything wrong, and they just keep smiling even when it hurts them deep down, and they do not even let their heart out. They don't speak their mind out to people who are doing them or treating them as rad. Instead, they are just in their mind. They just want to please this person as well. This person just smile. Like I'm going to do every single thing to make sure this person just likes me like that. Like it doesn't really make sense. But then, yes, I mean I've been there before. I don't know if other people have been there, but then as a people pleaser, it's not really a nice experience at all. Especially when it begins to mess with your mental health.
No, that's true, honestly. Especially when you said something about how a people pleaser would try to do everything within their power to ensure that the person who they are trying to please likes them. And I think so too. Honestly, I think that a people pleaser is actually somebody who, doesn't actually see their value. They are somebody who would bend unnecessarily backwards. They would bend over backwards unnecessarily just to ensure that people are not mad at them. For instance, now, someone would come and, just like you said, them trying to do things so that people would like them. For instance, now, someone might meet you and be like, hey, can you do this for me? They would request for an unnecessary favor, a favor that makes absolutely no sense to you. You really have no reason as to why you should do that, right? Now, instead of you to decline, you know, you can't do this, you do not have the capacity to actually respond, or to their favor, to their request, you would then want to respond to their ridiculous favor that would go against your priorities, go against your values most of the time, just so that this person is not mad at you, this person doesn't dislike you, or that there isn't going to be this discomfort. Right, and so I think you hit that definition spot on, honestly. I think you did. I think you honestly did. In your definition, you even talked about the common traits, saying yes when you absolutely should have said no. To be very honest, I think that's a pretty cool definition. Do you have any, you talked about how you used to be a people pleaser. Could you talk more on that, how you identified with this label, people pleasing? What was that like for you?
Well, it was really a very interesting experience. I like to categorize everything as being interesting, but then
Yeah.
no, it wasn't interesting as I'm smiling right now. Sure. Um, being a people pleaser, you just find yourself over explaining, like you just be explaining even for no reason. And then like you find yourself even trying to explain the reason why you said no, just so that that person won't feel offended, even though you know deep down that man, the what this person is requesting for doesn't even make sense at all. And then like to some point you realize that it's almost as if you are making yourself look as if you do not want anything, and then you don't even know your value and stuffs like that. And then even the people you are trying to please won't even value you at the end of the day. Like that is the point it begins to mess with you upstairs. Like honestly speaking. And then like sometimes myself, I even remember agreeing to like do some people projects for them, even though I knew I had a lot of things to do at that particular point.
Yeah.
But then just so that this person will not feel like that was the reason why I just said yes. And then like in my head, I was just like so that they won't see me as a bad person, so that they won't see me as a bad person. But honestly, there are some times that you are just supposed to say no. There are
True.
sometimes you're just supposed to say no and let that person see you as whatever you want to see you. Because one thing I've come to realize is whoever we value you, and whoever we
Facts.
do not value you, will not value you.
Facts.
Because at the end of the day, you put in so much energy in pleasing people to the point that they do not even value you. They just look at you as someone they can just step on and just do anyhow. They'll just do you anyhow. You myself at some point you just sit down thinking like, where did you get me wrong? But then it's just all coming back to the point of realizing your own self worth, realizing your own value, and that's
Yeah, yeah. I think that thing is that's what we'll talk about towards the ending of this episode. That would involve the tips that people could actually do to break away from the bondage. I would call it a bondage of people pleasing, right? And so I wanted to ask you, Ola, do you think there is a difference between being kind and being a people pleaser? I know for some people they're like, oh no, I'm actually very kind. I'm just a nice person. It's what a kind person would do. I'm not really a people pleaser. I'm just a very kind person. Do you think there is actually a difference between being kind and being a people pleaser, or do they mean the same thing?
no, they do not mean the same thing. They do not mean the same thing. And like being kind is just the act of showing some certain kind of care to some certain people, or like showing some people that you actually do have them in mind or do value their presence in your life. But then, like, people pleasing is extreme. It's just like the ability not to say no. That's people pleasing, the ability not to say no. Because to an extent, you know this thing is wrong, you know this thing, they can do it themselves. And then you know it deep down that this person is just trying to take advantage of you. But then you just decide that, well, I don't want to look like a bad person. And then if you keep telling yourself you do not want to look like a bad person, honestly, at some point you actually look like a bad person even to the people you are trying to please. But then if you keep telling yourself you do not want to look at like a bad person, people just keep taking you as one would I say one mumu that does not really know what he's doing. You understand that kind of
Yeah,
thing? They are just ready to ride on you, ready to use you. Yes.
right,
They are just
right,
ready to use you for their own benefit.
right. There was even something I saw that said that kindness comes from, having boundaries, and your niceness and your generosity doesn't exclude you, right? You also put into consideration yourself when extending your hand to other people, and you show love, you show care, you show compassion. But all of this is done in a balanced way, whereby you're not doing it to the detriment of your own well being, right? But people pleasing, on the other hand, is you having no boundaries. It's almost as if it's coming from a place of fear of people disliking you, right? And so you're not even considering yourself. Everything you are doing is to the detriment of your own self, right? I think that actually also it makes sense, right? I think it defines it as well too. It gives a clear difference.
Yes, it defines it perfectly, especially the fear
Yeah.
of people disliking you.
Yeah. And so when I was talking about this topic, when I was introducing the people pleasing topic that we're having now, I did mention that a lot of people, they do not actually know consciously that they are actually people pleasers. They might just be doing things and be feeling a particular kind of way, but they do not know that it's due to having people pleasing tendencies. So do you think that there are some signs that people would actually notice or should actually think if they have, that would make them say, I'm actually a people pleaser, or maybe I actually put people above myself in a way that's actually very detrimental to myself? Do you think there are some signs like that?
Yes, yes, there are some signs like that. And like you said, the fear of saying no, and like always wanting to be loved by everybody, or always wanting everybody to like you. Yes. Yes, always wanting everyone to like you, always finding yourself over explaining, even when you know you're not wrong, you're just trying to explain so that it don't look as if you hurt the other person. just so that they won't feel hurt in any way. And then deep down, you know that the thing they are actually asking you to do isn't that isn't even right by you. Something that at the end of the day, it is still not going to add any benefit to your life. Like
Right.
it's still going to make you, it's still going to affect what you already have planned for yourself. But then you are still finding yourself saying yes, 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 yes. So people pleasing, one of the easiest ways to know you're a people pleaser is the moment you realize that you find it hard to say no, and then you always want everyone around you to like you, so you are always saying yes. So that's one of the ways to know you are a people
Hmm.
pleaser.
Right. 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 And even something you said about, we'll get back into these subtle signs, but there was something you just said now, something about um doing things for people, and the things you do for them, it adds no benefit to you. Do you in a way believe that, everything you do for people should benefit you? Do you think that that should be a sort of motive for people?
Well, I won't say everything you do to, for people should benefit you, but then the moment you begin to notice that you are doing things that is affecting your own plan for yourself. Like there are sometimes we all be selfless, right? There's
Right.
a point of being
Right.
selfless that yes, you think you put others first before you put yourself. But then there's a point at which you realize that others are even taking advantage of your kindness.
Right.
And then this is constantly even affecting you and stuffs like that. Like there are some the moment people realize you are even a people pleaser is the moment they even want to take more advantage of you, because they know that there is no way they are going to ask anything of you that you end up saying no.
Right. 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 That clears it up. That clears it up. That's actually factual. That's actually factual. So moving back to what you said about, the signs that someone is a people pleaser, and you mentioned them having difficulty declining, let's say, ridiculous favors from people. I think that that's one of the major sign, really, that you might be a people pleaser. You find it very, very difficult to decline, let's say, favors. You find it difficult to decline people asking you for help, be it financial, be it emotional, be it any kind of way. I think that's a really good sign. You know, I saw somewhere that another sign might be you not expressing your opinions due to the fact that people might be uncomfortable with how you feel or what you think. What do you think about that?
Yes, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. You think that's a sign of people pleasing too?
Yes, I think that's a sign of people pleasing.
Right, right. Because I know personally, I've also struggled with that in a way, and I'm actually working on it. I've moved far from how it was so horrible. My goodness, it was so horrible months and years ago, right? It's this situation whereby you are surrounded with people who you are now coming to realize they might not agree with you on certain beliefs, on certain ideologies, or in certain ways of life or values. But then you feel like if you express what you believe in very strongly, it might cause conflict. And so you just try to morph just so that there won't be any conflict. I think that's a sign of people pleasing too. That with over apologizing, like you said.
Yes, yes, that's a sign of people pleasing.
Right. So do you have any personal moments whereby you realize that actually doing things for people in a way of seeking their approval instead of doing things for your own self? Like you mentioned, you have to put people in front of you or before you sometimes, right? But I'm asking situations whereby you come to realize that you're actually doing things so that people would like you. You're not doing things because you want to be kind or you want to be nice. You're doing these things solely due to the fact that you maybe you want to please people. Have you ever had situations like that?
Yes, I've had situations like that, and even right now, I'm even trying to like get myself from something similar to that, or even something like that, like people pleasing actually.
Yeah.
Because like I found myself actually trying so hard, putting in every single thing, including, I mean, I even kept in up to my business capital and profits into it just so that someone could just like me. You understand that kind of
Yeah.
thing? And then like the moment this person realized, oh, I'm doing everything just to please this person actually started taking advantage and started making unnecessary requests for me. And like even at some point I began to think about it, but then like based on the fact that I didn't want to tell this person my opinion or tell this person what I think or what I feel so that I won't end up hurting their
Yeah.
feelings. I just have to start piling up all my feelings, all my thoughts to myself. And then like I just found myself becoming mentally, emotionally, and physically drained.
Yeah.
Like up to the point that I just decided to tell my friends, more, I'm not coming online again. I just
Yeah.
want to be in my room all by myself.
Yeah.
Like it was pushing me into one form of depression. But then I thank God that my friends are the stubborn type that the moment they realize something,
Yeah.
they are ready to help me get out of
Yeah.
it. So yes, I've been in
Yeah.
situations like
Yeah. Would you say that there was a particular reason why you did not want to, put your foot down or maybe have boundaries with this person? Was there a particular reason? Maybe fear of disappointment, fear of maybe disappointing that person, fear of maybe that person disliking you. What do you think was the core reason that may have caused you not, let's say, setting your foot down when you realize that the person was starting to take advantage of your kindness?
okay, so like every day I actually wanted that person to like me. Even if it's by force, that person must like me. And then like there were some days that I just felt like I'm too scared to tell this person some certain things so that I won't end up disappointing this person. I'm too scared of telling this person no to some of their requests just so that I won't end up disappointing them. And then there were some times I was just like, no, I'm just going to put in everything to please this person by force. Like
Right.
honestly speaking, when I think of it now, I just be like, oh, even if I was that person, I would have seen myself like a
Yeah. No, no, to be honest, I do get that because sometimes you look back on the sort of things you were tolerating and you'll be like, my goodness, did I actually, like, like me as a person, I sat down and I was tolerating this sort of behavior from people, this sort of treatment. It's really shocking
yes,
sometimes.
like it got to a point, right? I My friends sat me down and then they were like, this is not the kind of person we know right from the start. Like the normal Ola that we know would have let his mind out, let his heart out, say anything that comes to his head, and just forget about it. If you like me, you like me. If you don't like me, you don't like me. And then they were looking at me, and like it even gave them this kind of courage to even insult me more on
Yeah.
it. I mean, we are guys, so yes, guys will always enter themselves with insults, even when things going bad. But then like my friends couldn't just believe that I was the one who decided to play like a fool, who decided to act like a fool because of I just wanted someone to like me
Yeah.
by force. And then like to an extent, it actually messed me upstairs, honestly
Yeah.
speaking. Because like if I should mention the amount of things I did just so that this person will like me,
Yeah.
sometimes I just sit down and be like, God, I cannot believe I'm the one who
Yeah.
did this.
But I mean, I'm glad that you've had the realization and you're in a different mental space, a way, way different mental space than you were before. I mean, that's a good thing. That's a freaking good thing.
Like honestly,
Ah,
even at some point, my friends just been scared. phone.
Yeah.
Because they be like, oh no, if care is not taken,
Mm.
and I just end up just deciding to stay away from people, from civilization,
Yeah.
and just end up just being by myself.
Mm. Room for that. Yeah.
I asked them to leave me because I told them, give me space. I don't want anybody coming around me. But then they didn't give me that kind of space.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking. So like
I mean,
it's really helped
yeah.
me. And the fact that they were able to just bring back this phone, it's really helped me get over it.
Yeah, this highlights the importance of, having good friends around you. Because whether we like it or not, there are some people you might have told if you had bad friends or friends who didn't actually care about you, if they had even, got wind of what was happening, they might have not even cared, and the story would have turned out different.
Yes, I actually had friends who did not care. Honestly, I had friends who did not care. But then I also thank God that even though I had friends who did not care, I still had friends who cared so much.
Yeah,
And friends who were ready to put my matter on their head like it was their own matter. So yes, I I'm actually grateful for the kind of friends I have.
right. I'm happy for you. I'm happy it turned out this way, to be very honest. I think on my end, my people pleasing tendencies, or at least the one I can remember now in this moment, the moment whereby I realize that, hold on, I'm actually just accepting this nonsense because of I want other people to like me. I think the moment that I realized that was when I was hanging out with a group of people, and I started to pick on some comments and some remarks that they were actually making, right, to me. And it did not sit right with me. Like, why are you saying this? Why are you saying something this not good? Like, people would sit down and say something that I would not say to them. You understand? And they would have opinions that I did not agree with. And all of these things would be happening, and I would just stay quiet. I would stay silent. And I think because of that, they felt like it was fine. It's okay to actually continue with that sort of behavior. I think for me, it was then realizing that, hold on, no, I'm actually accepting this thing because I don't want to cause conflict. I don't want tension to happen. And so I think I started, putting my foot down when stuff like that came up. Maybe when somebody comes up to me and says something that I don't like, maybe it doesn't even happen that way. Let's say during a conversation or amongst people, maybe schoolmates or something, and then they say something that doesn't just sit right with me, you just clear them immediately. Because if you do not do that, I can assure you they will do it again because they see it as you're comfortable with that sort of thing.
Right, I can actually relate a lot with your experience because I also remember I was in a situation like that as at early this year. I had a friend, a male friend, of course. Um, Whenever we go out, we could just be having like a real nice conversation, and like next thing I might just be making a joke or something. And then next thing, like him too, out of joke. I don't know if it is out of joke or something. He'll just like be using his hand to hit me. And then like he kept on going, kept on going. And like I noticed it since it first started. But then I didn't like want to tell him to stop since I didn't want to like spoil the whole friendship stuff. But then at some point, I just feel like no, I can't be doing this because like this is not something I'm even supposed to be accepting on a regular day. So yes, I decided to set some boundaries, and I decided that, well, I will still keep in touch with him, but then he should also know his limits to some certain. But since I was able to know my worth, I can tell you that we have actually not had much communication or conversations like that. It's just like him trying to detach himself based on the fact that he has realized that, okay, I'm not going to be taking some certain things from him that I used to take before. So, yes.
I also relate to the part whereby you talked about the person, physically hitting you. I've had experiences with people. Most of the time, they happen to be girls. But I've had experiences with people whereby they would hit you, and instead of you telling them that you don't like that behavior, you might just keep silent, and they would think that it's normal. I don't know. It's very annoying. It's very, very annoying. I will tell you that.
Yes, it's actually an annoying thing. Especially the
Yeah.
thing I even got to like notice about some particular kind of girls is the moment they do something the first time and you do not talk, then just forget about it. They'll just see you as a momo and they'll keep on repeating that same thing over and over again just to like, I don't know, if maybe they want to see your reaction or something like that. But then
Yeah.
they just keep repeating it.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why most people are like that. But Ola, why do you think people actually people please? I mean, from our experience, we tolerated a lot of things for a period of time. I'm glad we're out of that mindset now. But why do you think a lot of people actually fall into people pleasing tendencies?
Right. Why do people please people? I actually cannot really say, but then like coming to think about it, I would say maybe from their background, from their childhood and all those kind of things. I'll say maybe they just have this craving to like be liked by every single person around them. Or maybe I would say maybe they just find themselves wanting every single person to just like them. They just don't know their self-worth. They do not know their value. They don't really place a
Right.
value on themselves. And then like to an extent they just want everybody to love them. And some of these people might actually not even have love at all. So they just like try to like force love with other people around them. And yes, some people just do it because of the fact that they do not want to lose friends. So yes, I think those are
Right.
some of reasons why.
Right. I love how you listed all of them. You would come to then realize that it's not just a particular thing or a particular factor that can cause somebody to be pleased. It's like a lot of reasons that could actually make somebody to people please. It's different from one person to another, but there are multiple reasons.
Yes, there are multiple reasons to why people please.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk about my own experience after now, but do you think you have any personal experience and also maybe some other general personal experience of the impacts, the negative impacts of people pleasing?
The negative impacts of people pleasing. Well, one of the things I'll say is based on my own experience is the fact of coming to realize that you've actually lost yourself. Like it comes to a
Yeah.
point where the disrespect and all of that gets too much, and then you begin to ask yourself, where exactly am I? Because like it's now as if you do not know the new you from what you were before, because like there is a whole lot of difference. And then like you're just going to lose yourself. You are going to you are going to like end up in one kind of, will I say, mental state that is just going to leave you unstable. Because at some point,
Right.
right, at some point, especially when you come to the realization of maybe realizing that the people you are even trying to please were just using you, you understand that kind of a thing.
Yes,
It
yes,
is
yes,
going to
exactly.
mess It's going to mess you up really, really, really bad. And then another thing is that you are going to lose respect. Honestly speaking, people out there who actually had respect for you before will just look at you and be like, is this the person I'm supposed to be respecting? And like, honestly speaking, even people who are like way younger than you will just look at you and be like, oh, this guy no even get steez or composure again. Honestly,
Yes.
because you are going to do a lot of stupid things just in the name of trying to please others.
Yes, validation and all sorts. No, I get this so much. Ola, you spoke my mind. You spoke my mind. I was about to say that one of the major negative impacts for me as well was when, I'm bending over back for people. I'm doing things that I would not normally do. I'm going against my values, prioritizing people, doing things that for people that I even think they are not even, I mean, let's be honest, they are not even worth me doing all these things for, but because I just want to not allow conflict or for them to not dislike me or view me in a negative light. I'm not doing it. When I now come to realize that these people, they don't even rate me at all. That's they don't even they don't really have respect, like you said, for you. They don't really they won't do those things that you're doing for them. I think the resentment that comes, it's so painful. It is freaking painful. And I'm sure a lot of people can actually relate to this. So when you said it was as if you just spoke my mind. You literally just spoke my mind. There are so many negative impacts of people pleasing. So many negative impacts. You would feel heavy resentment, like you talked about, and lack of respect. And it's really bad. It's really bad. It's a topic that might seem unnecessary to talk about. I mean, most people wouldn't want to talk about will I say these deep topics, but you would come to realize that a lot of things that happen in life are psychological, and you would just be hurt not knowing why it is you're feeling that way, right? And so these negative impacts, it's well, I Ola, this stuff really hits me.
Like honestly, there are sometimes that I just sit down and then I just ask myself all these things I ended up doing for this particular person. Can this person even do even just 10% what I did for them? And then,
Right.
like, to some extent, you are even going to sit down and realize that this person was not even worth all this. But yet, this person still took it as an advantage to bring in disrespect. And, like, the moment you then begin to tell them no, they then try to start making you feel guilty for saying no. But then, the moment
Exactly.
you as a person realize that they are doing that kind of a thing, trying to make you feel guilty, my advice is for you to say no and stand on your ground, honestly. And then, it's starting from there, you are going to begin to learn how to say no.
That's actually good. That's true. That's true. And I think even when you talked about the way you would feel resentment when you realize that these people did not actually rate you, I think that is a clear difference between kindness and people pleasing. I think in a way, when you're kind, you're doing things without the mindset of this person will do something like you're doing things without an expectation of somebody doing it back for you,
Yes,
right? Yes, and you're
yes,
doing it without bending over backwards. You're considering yourself. So when you do that thing, because you're doing it because you want to, and not because you feel obligated to, you don't feel like that person would should. You don't expect anything in return. But when you're people pleasing, the disappointment I feel it hits harder.
yes, it does. It actually hits harder. And then, like, the interesting thing is that when you are even showing some level of kindness, you come to realize that most of the people that you show kindness to actually value you more than the people that you are trying to please.
Which links back to what you said about respect. Knowing your value, people would see that you actually have value in you. Like you know that you're valuable, and then they would respect you. But you're trying to please everybody. Once they see it, voila, they will take advantage of you.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ola, let's talk about some tips that people listening can actually apply into their lives to change the pattern of people pleasing. Right? You could go first, list some, and then I'd list some.
Like I said earlier, one of the ways to actually start is by learning how to say no. And there are some people that when they say no, they are going to begin to have some thoughts and be thinking, am I a bad person for saying no? But the moment you say no, stand on your ground. Honestly, even though you're having those thoughts, know that you are not going back to say yes. Just stand on your ground. And then, if it requires you to even turn your phone off, honestly speaking. And then from there, you are going to learn how to constantly say no. Also try to like get over that feeling, or should I say pressure, of trying to please others, of trying to make people actually like you or want to be around you. Try to get over all those kind of pressure, right? And I can tell you, the moment you begin to get over that pressure, you're going to begin to attract good people into your life.
Right.
Honestly speaking, you're going to begin to attract good people into your life because the pressure is just you more like forcing yourself to be a part of people's life. So those are the two I would say you should actually start with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Valuable stuff, really. Valuable stuff, really. Especially what you said about practicing saying no. Very daunting. You see that saying no, as simple as it sounds, very, very daunting something to do. But like you said, no going back. Once you stand on your ground, you continue. And I think with time it gets easier, right? On
Yes, with
on my
time it
end,
will get easier.
yeah. On my end, I would say identifying your values would help you. That is to say that if you're somebody who has a particular value, if you're somebody who values a particular thing, I'm trying to think of the right example to give. Let's say you don't value people wasting your time, right? You're a very punctual person, or you don't value people messing with your property. You're somebody who respects people's property, and so you would expect people to actually respect your own, not manhandle it. Let's use the time own. Let's say, for instance, you agree with to meet somebody at a particular place, and the person comes horribly late, and the person maybe even murmurs an apology or just say something like, yeah, they are late or something. They don't even apologize for, wasting your time. And you're somebody who keeps to time now. Your value, that's a value. Your punctuality is a value for you. Instead of you to brush it off and make it seem as though it had less effect on you, you could bring that up. You could identify that as a core value for you. And once you firmly, maybe not in a way that would then proud quarrel, but if you're able to actually set your foot down on what you would and what you would not tolerate, next time if you were to hang out with that person would actually, have this idea, even if subconsciously at the back of their mind, that, you know, this is a so this is something that this person would not tolerate. I don't even know if this example makes sense. I'm trying to paint a picture here. Okay, it falls with every other thing. It falls with every other thing. But I think knowing your core values, knowing what is a boundary to you, what you would not actually
Yes, what
really
you'll
fall
not take
back on.
on a
Yes,
normal day,
yes,
and,
exactly.
and then
Knowing that.
setting your boundaries.
Exactly, exactly. Once you have those values at the back of your mind, you can easily know when somebody is trying to push past that, or know when if you do this activity, it goes against your core values, right? Another thing I would also say
Yes.
is realizing your self-worth, because from one of the conversation we talked about Ola, which is amongst the conversation we had, right? We talked about how people pleasing can stem from somebody having a low self-worth. So when you don't really rate yourself, as we Nigerians would say, when you don't really rate yourself, it's very, very easy for people not to rate you at all, right? And so you could start practicing self-gratitude. Realize that you have worth, and once you start having self respect for yourself, you respect things about you, you uphold your own ideas, you believe firmly in your
Yes.
opinions, you express
Your
yourself, people would start to respect you, right? It's honestly a tip, honestly.
yes, it is. It is.
Yeah. So do you remember a particular time? Maybe do you have any particular time whereby you were in a position to almost people please, but you stood your ground? How did you feel in that moment? Do you
In
have any story like that?
in a position to almost people please. Okay, okay. I
Yes.
do not know. I think this was like a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So there is this one of my friend, right? I have known her for a very, very long time. And then like we've been having some kind of conversations, and like okay, she asked me for something, if I could do something for her, right? And as at that point I was kind of less busy, so I agreed to do it for her, even though I knew it was going to take a whole lot of my time and a whole lot of research because I didn't know where to start from. But then as I kept on doing it for her based on the fact that she didn't know how to do it, then I had some things that I was supposed to, that came up, some things that came up. And these things are things that are supposed to keep me very occupied throughout this month. So, like, I then found myself asking myself, do I tell this girl that I I cannot continue with this thing because I've been doing it like 3 to 2 weeks for her, but then like every attempt to do it kept on failing, and I kept updating her that okay, it's not working. But then like I now started asking myself, do I tell her I cannot do this thing and just let her feel like I let her down or
Disappointed.
something like that? Yes, feel disappointed and all of that. Or do I just keep trying to do it and put my own things aside? But then my own things are not things I can just put aside because they are really, really important things. And if I do not do them, it's going to affect me big time. So at some point, I just found myself in that thought and I kept on thinking for about 2 days. What do I tell this girl? What do I tell this girl? Because I did not want to tell her I cannot do it. But then at some point, I just told her that I can't do it. And I also thank God that she wasn't disappointed. She actually
Yeah,
felt good and she told me there is no problem. If I can't do it, I should just tell her. And then she's going to know she's going to get it done. So, yes, if maybe I had stick with the idea of just trying to please her because I am someone who loves to please people around me. Let me not lie to you. I find it
yeah,
really, really, I find it difficult, very difficult to like tell someone that I can't do something or I can't give them something. You understand?
yeah,
So
yeah,
the moment she told me that there's no problem and all of that, I just felt really relieved that yes, at least I did not try to push myself beyond what I can do,
yes.
beyond my boundaries.
Which would have
So
made you feel very resentful.
yes,
Okay, so I'm glad about that. I can imagine if you had continued or you went on with that stuff and you know she just did not know that you were going through this. I feel like you would have been very, very resentful. I feel like you'd have been very, very resentful.
yes, it will have been very, I would have been very,
So, I mean, we are coming to the conclusion and the end of the episode, and I think at this point, we're just going to do a basic recap of the points we've discussed so far, right? We've talked about the definition of people pleasing, we've talked about factors that could lead to people pleasing. We talked about that it comes from a lot of factors, which could involve upbringing, lack of awareness of, somebody's self worth, low self esteem. But we also talked about how it's possible to move out of that mindset, right? And like Ola said, you talked about practicing saying no. And so even if it's just something small, as in starting small to say no to little, little things that ordinarily you would have jumped on and said yes, with even knowing that, you wouldn't want to do them. We talked about knowing your self-worth, because when you do start to realize your worth, I think saying no comes easier and the guilt that might follow would not be as much. We talked about knowing your core values amongst other things we spoke about in this episode, right? And I think that from what we've discussed, I think we can all agree that it's okay to be kind, right? It's not as if being kind is a bad thing. Yeah, but I think kindness without boundaries is where people pleasing now comes out.
yes, that's where people pleasing comes out.
And I mean, hey, just like you said, you did stand your ground for something that you were not feeling up to, as scary as it was. And it turned out fine. I can imagine multiple people feeling that it won't turn out fine. But I mean, we have Ola's story. Hey, try it. Say no, okay? Practice saying no. It will save you from a lot of situations and circumstances.
To tell people to practice saying no and also learn how to be, will I say learn how to be honest, but learn how to express yourself. You understand? Like, if maybe you are being
Right.
asked a particular thing, understand that You have the right to be able to express yourself, let people know
Right.
your thoughts about that particular thing. And then, even aside that, understand that every single question or request comes with either a positive or a negative response, which means that you are always allowed to say no. That's the thing. You are allowed to say no. You can say no when it is not comfortable for you, and you can say yes when it is comfortable for you. So, yes, that's
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, but I believe that if you're consistent at it, you would eventually, it will become a habit for you, really.
yes, it will become an habit for you. And then,
Yeah,
like, it's okay to be kind, but then it should not come at the cost of your peace or at the cost of your comfort.
right. That's actually facts. I'm really glad we got to discuss this topic today on this episode, Ola. Thank you so much for being on the pod with me. It has been amazing. It has been freaking amazing to have you on the pod. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for having me on the pod.
Yeah. So, where can listeners find your online radio platform? Is there a particular website? Is there a particular application?
Yes, there is a website for it. Um, in the beginning of the podcast, you mentioned you were going to put the link
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
disc. Yes, so I'll send you the link so you can find so they can find my radio website there.
All right. All right. So, you guys should do well to check out Ola's radio platform. Real stuff, rebooted with a lot of categories that are actually pretty cool. I'm sure you would enjoy it. Once again, Ola, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
There's nothing more satisfying than finding the perfect green paint for your living room. Except maybe popping open that can of Valspar Ultra and rolling that first smooth stroke on the wall. And there's nothing more satisfying than admiring your freshly painted wall.
Ooh.
Except maybe peeling off the painter's tape to see those crisp edges. But the most satisfying part of all? Valspar Ultra's price tag, starting at $29.98 a gallon. Affordable, durable, available at Lowe's. Price varies by Sheen.